Hello and welcome to the Story Kiosk, a community podcast sharing short, true stories written by you, our listeners. I'm your host, Julian. I hope you've all been taking care of yourself and enjoying, if you're here in the Northern Hemisphere, the year's blustery turn towards spring, the season of change, of renewal, all that good stuff. The story that we're featuring today is an especially reflective one, dealing with identity and living a life under near constant interrogation. It's a story about trying to make sense of yourself in a world that doesn't always offer you the language to do so, and about the moment when something begins to shift. At its center is a very specific memory, a childhood sleepover, a classic, chunky CRT television, and a passing comment about Leonardo DiCaprio in his young heartthrob era. Written by Cassandra, this story is titled Heavenly Bodies. There's so much to wonder about, so much we're taught. Humans are naturally curious. They want to know about scientific discoveries, the bloodshed of history. It's all here for the taking, from the bones in the ground right up to the stars in the sky. How did those heavenly bodies come to be? But when it comes to me, it's always the same question. People are always invasive. In fact, it's only now, after all this time, that I'm realizing how often I was interrogated from my teenage years onwards, and how open I felt I needed to be to extinguish the fear and upset in everyone's eyes. They never hid it. I think they wanted me to see it. Or maybe they wanted everyone else to see how alien they thought I was, so they could keep up the cover of normality. And despite often being subjected to public questioning, as if I was a sideshow at a circus or a being from another world, it was always this one particular question that confused me. When did you first know you were transgender? I didn't understand why everyone always wanted to ask that, as if the concept had plucked me as a child, one summer morning, from the garden when my parents were tending to my louder-than-life brother, or too busy fighting to remember they'd left me out there. I was too confused to articulate myself whenever this question was thrown at me. Transness didn't consume me or corrupt the person I was. There was never a point when I realized it was too late, that I'd been possessed by this infectious disease. I didn't even have the terminology back then. A child isn't born innately aware of their gender. Did you know what you were before your parents gave you signifiers or told you which toilets you can and can't go to? I watched The Little Mermaid every day until the film ribbon inside the VHS tape had worn out. I asked for Barbies and liked drawing under the kitchen table. I was always this person. I think what they mean to ask is, when did you first know you had to hide it? Because that's the moment I remember most clearly. When I realized whatever I was didn't belong here with everyone else. I was about 4 years old. My big brother and I had been dropped off at a friend's house for an impromptu sleepover, which probably meant another nail was being hammered into the coffin of Mum and Dad's doomed marriage. But at this house, we didn't care, because here we were allowed to watch TV in bed. When our friend had fallen asleep, my brother and I watched Leonardo DiCaprio push his floppy hair to the side of his face, and I, a romantic, said to my brother, "I'm going to marry him." My brother looked at me with furrowed brow and lazy eyelids. "No, that's not right. Girls marry boys. You're not a girl." "Aren't I?" I said, my little chest expanding and contracting slowly as the pieces fell into place. All the funny looks the grown-ups gave me when I expressed myself. All the times my parents panicked when I asked for dolls instead of action men. The crooked smiles when I wanted to be the pink Power Ranger in the plays we'd put on for our parents at the end of the night. He was wrong, though. I knew he was wrong. I knew I was a girl. There was just a mix-up with the delivery. My brother turned back to the TV, satisfied with the wisdom he'd imparted. Suddenly, Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't the most important thing in that moment. I sat there in the glow of the big boxy television and realized if I wanted love, I couldn't let anyone see who I really was. I had to hide it. So to answer that question now, for those that still stand back and observe and gossip and point like I'm an animal in a cage, I always knew I was this way. I learned the terminology and about my biology, my anatomy and sexual health later on, as a teenager, from underground clandestine networks, or the rare encounter with a kind person who'd found themselves on the fringes of society. Because no one ever taught me in school. You people don't allow a curriculum on anything other than yourselves. So tell me, after all the privileges of education you've hoarded about your growing, heaven-sent bodies, when did you first know you were cis? Thank you very much to Cassandra for trusting us with that story. It's still early days for this little project, but I really appreciate the incredible variety of stories that listeners have contributed, even just through 8 short episodes. One week we're harkening back to loved ones long past, or reminiscing about a family pet. The next we're very introspective or revisiting strange childhood memories that will be glued to our brains forever. There really is room for everyone here. So if you have a story that you'd like to share, whatever the subject, please do consider sending one in. You can find all the submission details on our website, www.storykioskpod.com, but really the only rule is that the story be short and true. And if you'd like a small prompt just to get started, how about you tell us a story about a childhood memory, a sleepover or a birthday party, something that you still think about from time to time. And as for Leonardo DiCaprio, if by some chance you're listening, there may still be a proposal on the table. We'll leave it there. Thank you for listening, and wherever you are in the world right now, we wish you a good morning, a good day, or a good night. See you next time.